How come? What's taking place? I was astounded by what I heard. According to the will, I had no claim to the fortune, and therefore it should all go to my husband, Ben. I had my father-in-law's gratitude. Well, it's unfortunate for Kelly, but we have no choice but to follow the will, he said. My husband received the inheritance as a result. After the inheritance was finalized, my spouse unexpectedly requested a divorce. Why are you saying this all of a sudden? Your sister is expecting a child. It's my kid. I will wed her, he answered. He made the decision to live with my sister and their child, leaving me behind. I collapsed into the chasm of misery. Still, I was skeptical about the terms of the will, so I did a comprehensive investigation. The investigation led to the discovery of startling information. At that point, my husband knelt on the ground and begged for forgiveness. But I had no intention of pardoning him or my sister. They were going to reach their lowest point. I'm 32 years old now. I work for the same company where my father used to be the CEO. Sarah, my sister, is a year older than I am and has always been well liked because of her attractive looks and upbeat disposition. However, I had little experience in love because I've always felt uncomfortable with pushy males and strong feelings. My best friend Mia asked me out because she was worried about me. There will shortly be a mixer. She said, "Do you want to come?" I'm not really good with that kind of thing. What are you saying? We're in our late 20s already. Come on, let's go. I was forced to go to the mixer, where I reluctantly met Ben, a man 2 years my senior. He was employed by a real estate company as a salesperson. I assumed he was pushy and intrusive as soon as I learned he was a salesman. But because he was calm and real, I was able to get past my fear with guys and chat to him easily. Talking to Ben was actually rather easy for me, and before I knew it, we were dating. A year later, we tied the knot. I stayed on at my father's business even after we got married. This is a box of oranges, Kelly. Kindly bring them home. What a big quantity. Is it truly possible for me to have them? It's all right. Kind young individuals like you are really appreciated. Kelly, you do an amazing job at what you do. You're genuinely terrific, not simply because you're the boss's daughter. I was frequently praised and given presents, like fruits, by others. This, I believe, was due to my father's high moral standards. I was well treated by my father at all times, and I aspired to be like him by working hard every day. I hold my father in high regard. Because Ben and I work different schedules and arrive home at various times, whoever arrived home sooner would handle household tasks. One day, I returned home from an overtime shift fatigued and to the aroma of dinner on the table. It smells nice. Looks really tasty. Yes? You consistently work late. I prepared your favorite roasted chicken today. For later, I've also made dessert. Congrats, I'm grateful. My spouse was a fantastic chef who consistently produced elaborate home-cooked meals. No matter how exhausted I was, his food would make me feel better right away. Ben was really helpful. I could concentrate on my job because of him. We were the happiest people alive. But a horrible tragedy happened 2 years ago. My mother passed away. All of a sudden, she received a deadly cancer diagnosis. My father and I both experienced deep depression following my mother's passing. I was initially unaware of my father's courageous actions at work. However, I noticed a difference when my husband and I went to my parents' place one day. "What's this, Dad? What took place?" I inquired. Dishes piled up by the kitchen sink and containers from meals bought at the convenience store were on the desk. Work has been so busy. I don't have the energy to cook, and I keep thinking about how delicious your mom's meals were. Even though my father was grinning, I could see that he was forcing the smile. My father had never seemed so depressed to me. My mother had always taken care of everything at home. "What topic are you discussing? Every day you work late at work. It makes sense that you are too busy to take care of domestic duties. Besides, Mom was a master at housekeeping. But lunches from the store every day? That is concerning. It is detrimental to your well-being. It's okay. Sorry to make you worry. My father's back appeared incredibly lonely as he started to tidy up. Ben raised his voice at hearing this exchange. If you'd like, Dad, how about moving in with us? I like to cook, and I leave work every day at 6 o'clock. I can choose to work from home as well. Adding one additional person wouldn't constitute a significant alteration. Ben gave my father a confident smile. I can't impose on a newlywed couple. What are you saying? I also want a drinking companion, Ben stated. Many thanks for it. I'm overjoyed. My father's eyes filled with tears, and that's how our life together started. My father used to leave the house at 7 in the morning and return home at 1 in the afternoon, I discovered when we moved in together. Perhaps his rigorous job as CEO was a result of his position. When my husband got home from work, we made sure to have dinner ready. I haven't eaten a handmade supper in a long. It's delicious, the best, he exclaimed, breaking down in tears. My father seemed to have grown more perceptive. My father started doing the cleaning and laundry instead of us cooking. As agreed upon, my father and Ben frequently shared drinks and watched TV together. My father even started leaving work early, maybe only to get drinks with Ben. Before we knew it, his smile had returned. In retrospect, I think that was my happiest period of time. But the joy didn't stay for very long. My father started getting sick all the time. He was given a cancer diagnosis when we arrived at the hospital. This can't be! I could hear the doctor's voice, but it didn't seem to register because of how shocked I was. I stumbled out of the medical facility. Kelly! Kelly! Ben would scream out to me, but I was unable to react. I was so startled that I lost all sense of where my feet were. My spouse grabbed my shoulders and pulled me back to reality. Hold yourself together, Kelly. Your father will become concerned if we continue to be depressed. Together, let's provide him the support we were unable to provide when your mother was ill. I cried all day that day, nodding to what Ben had said. My father was soon hospitalized, and the company was in chaos without its CEO. To avoid worrying my father, I did my best at work. When I couldn't visit the hospital, Ben would go alone. However, my father's condition worsened, and eventually, he passed away. As I broke down in tears, Ben consoled me. I'm sure your father is smiling now, reunited with your mother, whom he loved so much. Many people attended my father's funeral, and I realized how much he was loved. A few days later, my husband, my sister Sarah, and I gathered at my parents' home to discuss the inheritance. To my surprise, Ben said, Actually, I was holding on to a will from your father before he passed away. I didn't know my father had left a will. The lawyer opened it and read aloud. The will states that all of the estate should be inherited by Ben, the husband of the younger daughter, Kelly. Additionally, the reserved portion should go to the elder sister, Sarah, and the younger daughter, Kelly, shall not inherit anything. What? What is happening? I couldn't believe my ears. Why would I not inherit anything? I couldn't believe that my father would leave such a harsh document. Isn't that strange? Contrary to my shock, my husband was not surprised at all. My father-in-law was thankful to me. Well, it's unfortunate for Kelly, but we have no choice but to follow the will, he declared. The expression on my husband's face was indescribable, something I had never seen before. Kelly, did you perhaps anger your father? Laughed my sister, who had often changed boyfriends and brought them home. My parents were worried and troubled by my sister's behavior. Once my sister graduated from university, she hardly visited home, and when she did, it was always to ask, Mom, can I have some money? Seeing such behavior, my father often scolded my sister. However, my sister never listened to him, and they were not on good terms. That's why it made sense that my father wouldn't leave the inheritance to her. But my sister was not the type to let that go. Since only the reserved portion was to be inherited by her, if it had been her usual self, she would have complained and been angry. However, this time, she showed no signs of anger. Anyway, since the will states that Kelly cannot inherit, you have to renounce the inheritance. That can't be. I wanted to deny that my father would say such a thing, but since it was written in the will, I could say nothing. In the end, we proceeded according to my father's will, and the inheritance was passed on to my husband. According to the lawyer, the total amount of the inheritance was $5 million. I was surprised to hear the amount, but it was characteristic of my frugal father. There were parts of the inheritance that I couldn't accept, but I decided to believe that my father had his reasons. After the inheritance, my husband's attitude began to change drastically. "I won't be coming home today." "Huh? That's rare. Where are you going?" "It doesn't matter." My husband coldly brushed me off and left the house. After that, he stopped preparing meals and began staying out 2 to 3 nights a week. After my father passed away, I was grieving, and I couldn't keep up with my husband's sudden change in behavior. A few days later, Ben suddenly said, "Please divorce me," leaving me speechless and unable to respond. "What? Your sister is pregnant. That's why I'm asking for a divorce." I couldn't understand at all. It was the first time I heard from Ben that my sister was pregnant. But what does her pregnancy have to do with our divorce? "I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean." "The child in Sarah's womb is mine. We will raise the child together in this house from now on." His words hit me like a thunderbolt. "What? You've been having an affair, and with my own sister?" "Well, yes, it would be an affair. I'm going to live with Sarah starting today, so Kelly, please leave." "What are you saying? How can I just leave all of a sudden?" Click. Just as I was about to unleash my anger at him with great momentum, the sound of the front door opening interrupted me. The door opened loudly, and a voice called out, "I'm home. I'm home. Didn't Ben tell you? From now on, for the sake of the baby, I want to live in a spacious house. Ben inherited this house, and as his future wife, it's natural for me to live here, right? Sarah, do you even realize what you've done? You're the worst. I can't believe this. It's your fault for having him stolen from you. If you didn't want that to happen, you should have held on to him more." She showed no remorse, instead mocking me and starting to laugh. "Stop fighting." Does this man even realize why we're fighting? Anger was boiling up inside me. "Anyway, Kelly, just leave. If Sarah gets stressed, it's not good for the baby, and I've already filled out the divorce papers, so submit them to the courthouse. Do you realize how selfish you're being?" I shot a sharp look at Ben, who shrugged for a moment but soon calmed down by looking at my sister. It felt disgusting. Can't help it, right? I've been taking care of your father all this time, and maybe she fell in love with me. Ugh, it's pathetic for an old flame to butt in. Just leave already. The two of them chuckled together, and then Ben demanded divorce. "Sign the papers," he said, leaving those words behind as he slammed the door shut. I was thrown out of the house. Ben chose to abandon me and marry my sister. While crushed by grief, I started walking. That day, I contacted my best friend Mia and arranged to stay at her house for a few days. While staying at Mia's place, I searched for a single apartment and signed a contract for it. I told Mia everything that had happened. "I can't believe something like that happened. It's the worst." "But doesn't it seem strange? Would your dad really do that?" "You're right. It might be worth investigating." We decided to request a handwriting analysis. Fortunately, having worked at the same company as my father, there was plenty of material available to identify his handwriting. Also, relying on a contact of Mia's, I decided to hire a lawyer. As we continued to investigate, I grew suspicious of my husband, sister, and the lawyer who had opened the will. 1 month later, once all the investigation results were in, I went to the house with a lawyer I knew. "Excuse us." "Hey, what are you doing here? You've really done it, haven't you? I see right through you, so let me explain now, Sarah. Sit down there." My ex-husband and sister nervously took their seats, and my lawyer and I also sat down. "Let me get straight to the point. We've investigated the will. As a result of our investigation, the will you prepared is invalid." "What?" Their faces turned pale. They knew what they had done. A will needs a signature and a date of creation. Did you know that? And most importantly, this will has been forged. We conducted a handwriting analysis, and it was not written by your father. The lawyer spoke calmly and reliably. "That can't be. You're lying. Stop lying." Suddenly, my ex-husband stood up and started to make a scene. "Hey, calm down." My sister desperately tried to stop him. "Anyway, this will is invalid, so you two will not inherit anything from your father." "It's a lie. It must be a lie." Holding his head, my husband bent and crouched down. "You really fooled me, huh? I can't believe you forged Dad's will. I've already reported this to the police." "The police? Why would the police get involved?" "Forgery of private documents is a serious crime. Did you really forge it without knowing that? Your head is in the clouds." "Stop! I was wrong. Please forgive me." Ben pressed his forehead to the floor, prostrating himself in front of me. I let out a deep sigh. "Forgive you? There's no way I could. You had an affair with my sister and forged a will to try to take the inheritance. You're despicable." Suddenly the doorbell rang. Ding dong. "What now at a time like this?" Ben remarked as he approached the door and saw a policeman standing there. "The police? Why did I keep it from you? I've informed the cops about it." "No way." My spouse pulled away. "Hello? Are you Ben? Is Sarah here as well? We need to talk about the forging of private documents with you at the police station." "Kelly, what the heck? Get moving." "Simply due to a small forgery." My sister unintentionally confessed to her involvement in the forgery in her fear. "Nothing I can do will help. This is the result of what you did." While they were arguing, the policeman disclosed yet more startling revelation. "Furthermore, your misdeeds don't end there. Did you not employ a friend to pose as a pretend attorney?" "Yes, the lawyer who read the will that time was a fake. It seems that my former spouse gave his friend $11,000 to pose as an attorney in exchange for a portion of the inheritance after it was acquired." "Why would you?" "That friend was already detained after confessing. That conduct meets the criteria for being an unlicensed profession of fraud and law. We have every piece of evidence since he has attested to your involvement." "Damn it, that guy!" Ben was screaming and kicking furniture. He was obviously angry and irritated. I felt complicated because it was the first time I had witnessed Ben acting in such an erratic manner. Furious, groveling, having an extramarital affair with my sister, and manipulating my father's wishes, the man I thought would be my destiny proved to be an absolute jerk. I used to really love him. As I watched Ben get detained, I expected to feel a little sorrow or loneliness, but I didn't experience any of those emotions at all. I had no idea that over the last month, my feelings for Ben had entirely soured. My sister was crying uncontrollably when she was watching Ben. She was the one who had caused it. My sister and ex-husband were later brought to the police station. Forging the will and getting a friend to give a fake statement led to the two's imprisonment. It was no longer a concern of mine, but I was still considering what would happen to my sister's unborn child. In my case, I received a $5 million cash inheritance as the heir to the estate. I found my strength and learned about the hardness of life through this experience. I was wounded and deceived, but I had the guts to seek the truth, and as a result, justice was served. Following the trial, my sister Sarah and my ex-husband Ben were both given jail terms. Both of them received lengthy prison sentences for the serious counts of fraud and forgery. I'm going to be my sister's aunt, but I'm not quite ready for this. Perhaps when the child is older and I can speak the truth, that day will arrive. Getting such a big inheritance has changed my life. But in the end, this experience has taught me that some things are worth more than money. The bravery to seek the truth, the fortitude to have confidence in oneself, and the significance of genuine friendship. I could not have gotten through this obstacle without Mia. In his business, I have assumed my father's role. Despite the initial misunderstanding, I feel obligated to preserve and advance the work that my father created. I've been greeted with warmth by the staff. "You'll be all right, Kelly. We have faith in you based on your qualities and character, not merely the fact that you are the president's daughter." I feel responsible for the statements made by the staff. In accordance with my father's intentions, I work hard every day to safeguard our employees and their families' happiness. Even if I occasionally run across problems, I have faith that the power I've gained from this experience will help me get through them all. I've made the decision to step away from love. My broken heart seems to be taking a long time to mend, but I have faith that one day I will have an amazing experience. I believe it's time for me to grow and face myself for the time being. I occasionally go see my parents' graves on the weekends. "I'm doing fine, Mom and Dad." I tell them, feeling at ease. "As your daughter, I am assiduously living each day so as not to bring you shame. I hope to be able to assist people in the future. My intention is to create a foundation that will help anyone going through similar agony as I did. My father used to say, 'People make mistakes, but they have the ability to learn from them and move on.' I take a step ahead, keeping these words near to my heart. Though life might take unexpected turns, I think happiness is possible if you live an honest life and uphold your convictions. My new existence is only getting started. Though I'm a little nervous about the meetings and experiences I have ahead of me, I couldn't be more excited. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I am here now because of your love and guidance. As your daughter, I shall live my life with pride. And one day, it might become my new goal to help someone else learn the things I've learned from this experience. It's a fresh day tomorrow. I inhale deeply before moving forward into the future. This narrative. My life's tale is far from over, even though it may have ended.